All right, everyone. Howdy do ye? I'm here, and I have finished yet another Doctor Who novel. This time it was Business Unusual. It was not an Eighth Doctor novel. I'm currently reading Seeing Eye right now. I'm about 70 pages in as I'm recording this, and will be hopping back on to Eighth Doctor stuff very shortly. I promise. It's just after basically three kind of shit books in a row. I needed a break. I've had my break. I read some Virgin books that I didn't cover, and of course, I read the next three Gary Russell novels that I needed to read. And so we have finally moved out of the Virgin book territory, and we've moved into his BBC books. We are looking at Business Unusual today. And I don't actually have a copy of it, which is part of the reason why I'm not doing this on video. Business Unusual, I thought, was a step up from the last one. I really, really, really enjoyed this book. Like, a ton. Just sort of, it's a sequel to Scales of Injustice, and this time it's centered around the Nestine consciousness, but they sort of take a backseat, and most of the story is based around the Pale Man and his lackeys, and we get to see more into their lives and how they react to things, and it's just really interesting character development for these almost sort of, two-dimensional characters you get in Scales of Injustice. They're really fleshed out here, and it's really enjoyable to read. Another thing, as far as characters go, is the Nestines themselves. They're very creepy in this story, which is something I've sort of been looking for ever since Spearhead from Space. I've always been very creeped out by the Autons in Spearhead from Space, and no story since that original one has really captured the creep factor for me, whereas this one definitely did. They're really scary here. I like how they're used, and you sort of get nuggets along the way. They're not at the forefront of the story, which is something I really like. You sort of get hints along the way as to what's going on, and then it slowly comes together that it's the Autons and the Nestine behind a lot of the stuff going on, and it works really well, and it's really, again, really fun to read, especially for me, because I like that creep factor, and I've been wanting that since Spearhead from Space. I think I should also note that this is the first time I've read a Sixth Doctor novel. I've never read a book with the Sixth Doctor before, and I must say Gary Russell gets him down to a T. Another interesting fact about this story, it's just sort of in the Sixth Doctor's timeline where it's placed. This is where he meets Mel. This is Mel's first official outing on the TARDIS. And I gotta say, the way he does it is superb. I couldn't have done it better myself. I was a little worried going in, and I came out absolutely loving it. And absolutely loving Mel from this book too, because I don't know, he just wrote her with almost this sort of author's sense of awareness that Mel is going to be one of the most hated classic Who companions. And he just goes right in and has a lot of fun with sort of her tropes. I mean, there's one scene where Mel screams at the top of her lungs, and Gary Russell makes a snarky little comment about the fact that she has never done this before, and it's just a hoot seeing their dynamic and seeing how he characterizes Mel for what is technically the first time. It's really cool. I really enjoyed that aspect. If I had any complaints with the book, it's probably that it sort of suffers from the same problem that Minuet in Hell suffers from for me. This was written in a time where the Sixth Doctor had not, come face to face with the Brigadier before. And so this was his only outing with the Brigadier, because if FYI, Brigadier's in this novel, and it's fun what he gets to do, but basically Russell decides to lock him in a room for the entire story, and the Brigadier kind of does nothing for about 25% of the book, and we don't really get to see him interact with the Doctor at all until the very end, which is... I've never liked that approach to doing a Doctor Brigadier story. I didn't like it in Minuet in Hell, and I don't like it here. I really, really wish they had made him a bigger part of what was going on. But other than that, I can't really think of anything to criticize it for. I mean, it was written really well. It fleshes out all the characters you got to know and sort of like as villains from Scales of Injustice, and it's a really solid sequel to that book. I really enjoyed it. I mean, it gets brutal towards the end, but I like that sort of shit, so... Yeah, no, this one is another no complaints from me. You did a good job, Russell. So, thumbs up, go read it. It's really good.